Praise the Lord. Today we are going to see the narrow gate of humiliation, the Sabbath healing, a man with dropsy. Dropsy means accumulation of liquid in the limbs and the legs, which leads to the liver alignment, heart alignment. That we call it as the edema nowadays. No, that is the problem of that man. That man was healed by Jesus Christ. As we all know that the life of Jesus Christ is divided into 8 parts. Now we are in the 7th and the 6th part, where ministry in Perea. It is going to finish soon, and then the last week we go to the crucifixion and resurrection, then the appearance after the resurrection. Remaining 7 and 8 part are there other things by the grace of God we have completed. In the Judea ministry for 5 months, it took place for the AD 29 to 30, and there are 42 events took place in that ministry. Today we are going to see about meal with the Pharisee ruler, healing the man with dropsy, and Jesus parables. This happened in the place called Perea. All you know, this is Perea, and in this area only Jesus is now doing the ministry. In this area, it's going to what going to happen here. That's what we are going to meditate. So let us go here. Background of this is you should know that because for the past 2 weeks we didn't attend this. I didn't prepare for this meeting. There was a great break in between this meeting. So I give little background about what we learned before. The background is that some Pharisees now come to Jesus and advised him, get out and go away from here because Herod and Antipas want to kill you. That's what a given message given to Jesus Christ. It is there in Luke chapter 13, 31 to 35. Perhaps King Herod Antipas started this rumor to cause Jesus to flee the territory, because why? Herod may be afraid that somehow he will become involved in the death of another prophet, even as he was in the killing of the John the Baptist. You all know that Herod Antipas only killed John the Baptist. He may be afraid that the people are now conspiring to kill Jesus Christ. If people want to kill Jesus Christ, then he is a ruler there. He has to allow that. Then he does not want that to happen to him. And moreover, he don't want to involve in the death of the another prophet. So he maybe we know that it is not written in the Bible. Maybe that's why he might have started the rumor to cause Jesus to flee the territory. But Jesus tell the Pharisees, go and tell that fox, look, I am casting out demons and healing people today and tomorrow, and on 3rd day I will be finished. It is not possible for a prophet to die outside Jerusalem, because he is not doing the ministry in Jerusalem. Now he is doing ministry in Perea. Now he is telling that he is casting out demon for the 2 days. The 2 days represent maybe the 2-year ministry what he have completed, and another 1 year he'll complete, then he'll die maybe. And the 2 days represent the working of Jesus Christ among the Jewish people, and the 3rd day is going to finish. And the 3rd day, even the 3rd day comes, the Jewish people are not going to accept him as a Messiah. So that's what it represents. Jesus will not be manipulated or rushed by the Herod or anyone else. That's true. He is going to carry out the assignment his father gave him. Jesus would fulfill his mission according to the God's schedule, not man's, because that man is telling, go away from here. That's what the Herod Antipas is giving the message through Pharisees to Jesus Christ. Jerusalem is a capital city where the 71 members, Sanhedrin high court is located, and where those accused of being false prophets would be tried. Now, the accusation against Jesus Christ is a false prophet, he's blasphemer. All these accusations are there. He's violating the Sabbath law. Since all these are there, these things are to be investigated in the Sanhedrin High Court, which has 71 members. The Sanhedrin High Court is only there in Jerusalem. So all these people are going to involve in the death of Jesus Christ. So no prophet is going to die outside the Jerusalem. Furthermore, that is where animal sacrifices are offered. Thus, Jesus realized that it would be inadmissible for him to be killed elsewhere. It's very clear. Jesus knows that he's not going to be killed anywhere. He's going to be killed in the Jerusalem. So I'm not going to afraid anyway. That's what Jesus was telling. And Jesus, Jerusalem, the killer of prophets. Then Jesus said that Luke 13, 34 and 35, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you killed the prophets and stoned to death those sent to you. How often I wanted to gather your children together the way the hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. Your house will be abandoned. I can guarantee that you will not see me again until you say, blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. So the nation is rejecting the Son of God and must face face the consequences. That's what Jesus is prophesying, seeing Jerusalem. Now he's not in Jerusalem, but from Pariah, he's prophesying about Jerusalem. What he's telling is that so many times I come to Jerusalem, I did so many miracles, I want to gather you, I want to accept you as a children, but you are not ready. I am like a hen, I want to keep you under my wings, but you are not willing. So what's going to happen is that this Jerusalem is going to be abandoned. The temple is going to be burnt in AD 70. That's what Jesus is prophesying. There is not going to be any temple. This entire city is going to be abandoned. But again, there is going to be a great war among this Jerusalem all over the for a very long time, and this will be there until blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. So they are going to proclaim in future, but Messiah, Jesus Christ, you are the Messiah. We want to see you come, Messiah. When they are going to cry at that time God will appear to him. In his second coming. That's what Jesus is prophesying here. So here can you see here Jesus is like a hen, and he wants to keep under the chicks under his wings. But these chicks represent the people of Jewish people in Jerusalem and all over Israel, and this hen represents Jesus Christ. He want to embrace them. He want to gather the chicks. That's why he came to this world, and 3.5 year ministry is going to over. Until this time, they are refusing to come under the wind. So the result is they are going to be abandoned. So this is the background. And what happened? Now the today topic is a narrow gate of humiliation, which is there in Luke chapter 14, 1 to 27. Before Jesus gets to Jerusalem, a leader of the Pharisee, now after telling this prophecy, before going to Jerusalem, a leader of Pharisee invited Jesus to his house. Maybe it happened in the Pariah, not in the Jerusalem. This happened in the Pariah. So before going to Jerusalem, one of the leader of the Pharisee invited Jesus to his house for a meal on the Sabbath. So that was the tradition in the Jewish community, that during the Sabbath they can invite very prominent people for the meal. In his house, Jesus dealt with 5 different kind of people and exposed them what was false in their lives and their thinking. That's why I call the topic the narrow gate of humiliation. Then he's going to deal with 5 different kind of people. Today we are going to see only the 4 people, and the next class I will go to the 5th one. So the four different kind of people, and expose what was the false in their lives and their thinking. So first of all, he is going to deal with the Pharisees. They have the false piety. That's Luke chapter 14, 1 to 7. And then he is going to deal with the guests, because when we call the feast is going to be there, so many guests he is going to call, that they are going to be guests. To the guests, he is going to deal with the false popularity, and to the host and the false hospitality, and to the pious fellow guest the false confidence. So these are all the things. Maybe we are also facing like this also. Maybe we are acting like the Pharisee to have a false piety. Maybe sometimes we are acting like a guest to give the false popularity, and we may be like a host having the false hospitality, and maybe like a pious fellow guest having the false confidence. We should be very, very careful, because this is the narrow gate of humiliation. Let us go to the man who came to dinner. Sabbath day hospitality was an important part of the Jewish life. Jesus was invited to a home for a meal after the weekly synagogue service. You all know that there is a service, synagogue service. After that is over, he was invited. Sometimes the host invites Jesus sincerely. Sometimes they will host really, they want to hear a message from him, hear the teaching, and they will invite sincerely because he wanted to learn more of the God's truth. There are sometimes, not always, sometimes they invite to make him to talk and listen the meeting, listen the teaching what Jesus is giving. But most of the time, Jesus was asked to dine only so his enemies could watch him and find something to criticize and condemn. So most of the time, they are calling the meal to put him a trap, to catch him. Always they see what he is going to talk, whom he is going to heal, because this is a Sabbath day. Always he is violating the Sabbath rule of healing on Sabbath day. So they want to find a fault in him. They put a trap. They want to put a bite. All these things that they want to do. So they call Jesus to most of the time they call Jesus to dine. The I and then there's a spelling mistake is there. Jesus was fully aware of what was in man's heart, but Jesus very well know with what intention they are calling for the meal, for the good intention to hear the truth from him, or for the bad intention to find fault and criticize and condemn him. He certainly know, because he's omniscient, omnipotent God. He knows what is happening, what they are thinking in the mind also. So instead of host or guest judging Jesus Christ, it was Jesus who passed judgment on them when they least expected it. So Jesus Christ very well know they are calling to criticize and condemn him. So when they least expect him, Jesus Christ himself passed judgment on them. That's the very thing. Okay? The host who called for the dinner to dine in his home, that person, before he expects him, Jesus Christ tried to pass the judgment on them when they least expected. That's what's going to happen now. The narrow door of humiliation, the Sabbath healing a man with a dropsy. Can you see here? This is a man of dropsy. He's having a swollen stomach, swollen leg, and he's having so much of alignment. He can't even stand straight. His full body is full of water. Retaliation is there, and that man Jesus Christ is touching, and all the people are see what he's doing there, because they called him only to find fault in him. No, that's why they are seeing. See their eyes. They are always curious to find fault in him. In spite of all these things, Jesus Christ is touching this man and healing
Maggi,
the man.
we can't see the slides.
Okay.
Slides is stuck.
Okay. Thank you for telling. Now you can see?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now today, thank you for revealing that you cannot see the thing now. So this is the Sabbath healing. This Jesus healing a man with the dropsy. Can you see here? This is a man who is having the problem with the edema, or the accumulation of water, retaliation of water. His stomach is completely swollen, and his limbs are also swollen. His legs and limbs all are swollen, and he cannot even stand straight. Somebody is holding him. So this is the problem of this man. You can know that these people most of the time are not invited as a guest in this very privileged feast, but this man was invited to find fault on the Jesus. That's why all the people are looking at him to find the fault. This was going to happen. Jesus healing a man with a dropsy. To the Pharisee, he's going to say about the false piety. So let us see in Luke chapter 4. First of all, he's going to deal with Jesus Christ is going to deal in this feast 4 different people. First person who is going to deal is the Pharisee, and he's having the humiliation of false piety. What is that? Luke chapter 14, 1-6. One Sabbath, when Jesus went to eat in the house of a prominent Pharisee, he was being carefully watched. Who was being Jesus Christ. That's why I said he was called to the meeting to be trapped, to be condemned, to be criticized, not with the good intention, not to hear the teaching from Jesus Christ, only to put him in the trap. But Jesus Christ, omnipotent God, he knows what is there in their mind, what is their thinking. So they were looking Jesus Christ carefully, and they are watching him. There in front of him was a man suffering from an abnormal swelling of his body. Can you see here? That's why I said it's the abnormal swelling of the body. We call it as a dropsy, or the edema, or water retaliation. Jesus asked the Pharisee and the experts in the law, is it lawful to heal on Sabbath or not? That's what they are waiting. See, always Jesus can't see the people who are suffering in front of him and keep him quiet. Certainly he will act. So he's asking again, before healing that man, Jesus Christ asking the question, because Jesus Christ very well know they called him for this meal, and this man who was having this edema, this swelling of the body, also invited there to put him in the trap, to catch him. That's why even they are unexpected. Jesus is passing the judgment over the Pharisees by asking one question. Jesus asked the Pharisees and scribes, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? But they remained silent. So taking hold of the man, he healed him and sent him on his way, because he was not called for the dinner. He was called to trap Jesus Christ. That's why he knows very well if this man was going to be there, it is not good for him, because they started to accuse that man also. That's why immediately after healing that man, Jesus Christ sent that man away. Then he asked them, if one of you has a child, he was asking first question he asked, they didn't answer at all. Then immediately he healed the man with the dropsy, and then after sending him home, he's asking another question, if one of you has a child or an ox that falls into a well on the Sabbath day, will you not immediately pull it out? And they had nothing to say, nothing. They are silent. They want to put him in the trap, but they are in the trap now. So that's what Jesus always does. The Pharisee who invited Jesus to his home for dinner also invited a man affected with a dropsy, a man suffering from abnormal kidney trouble, a heart alignment or liver disease. The tissues are filled with water. The Pharisee was so heartless to use this man as a tool to accomplish their wicked plan of finding something to criticize and condemn Jesus. How wicked they are. This man even not able to walk. They're holding somebody. He's having that much of pain. He cannot, since his body was swollen, he cannot walk also. Somebody has to hold killed him. So they are using this type of man to put as a tool to accomplish their wicked plan of finding something to criticize and condemn Jesus. They are very heartless. But in spite of that, Jesus is going to heal them, heal this man. This afflicted man was invited to use as a bite to catch Jesus. You know that the bite is used to catch the fish. The same way this swollen man who is for suffering with alignment is used as a bite to catch was without compassion. For example, if he's ignoring, oh, let him be one of the guests, let him come and eat. What's my problem? Let it be there. If he act like that, then he was without compassion. But if he healed him, then he was openly violating the Sabbath, and they could accuse him. That's the problem. If he not heal also, they will say he has no compassion. If he heal also, they could find that Jesus Christ is violating the Sabbath, because on Sabbath day nobody could heal anybody else. If healing happens by itself, that's okay, but nobody should touch or do pray or something to heal anybody. That is wrong. That is violated. That's what the rule they themselves prepared. There are 28 works which are condemned not to do on that Sabbath day. One of the work among the 28 work is healing a man. So that is so they started to accuse him. That is the problem. They put the dropsies man right in front of Jesus, so he could not avoid him, and they waited for Jesus to act on behalf of this afflicted man. They purposefully put this man in front of Jesus Christ. Jesus had already violated the Pharisee Sabbath tradition on at least 7 different occasions, not the first time. For about 7 different occasions, Jesus Christ healed on the Sabbath day. So he already violated so many times the Sabbath rules. Then Jesus asked the Pharisees and experts in the life, then immediately he knows the plan. This dropsy man is alignment is standing with a great pain, and they are also waiting to see what Jesus Christ is going to do. And immediately Jesus is asking, is it lawful to heal on Sabbath or not? But they remain silent. So immediately he took hold of the man and healed the man and sent him on his way. Immediately he healed. Can you see this man healing was immediate? Maybe I think that all his water may be going to remove slowly from his body, and there is a immediate healing has happened. That's what happened when Jesus asked what the conviction was about the Sabbath. The Pharisees kept quiet. Now asking, oh, what is your conviction about Sabbath? Tell me. They didn't answer anything, because the Pharisees said that nobody should be healed on the Sabbath. The people consider them heartless. They say, oh, should not heal. That means the people also say, oh, the Pharisees are very heartless. If they give permission for healing, their associates would consider them lawless. Okay, let it be okay if a head of the Pharisees says, then Jesus Christ healed, then this associates Pharisees will come and say, even though you are the leader of the Pharisees, you yourself are violating the Sabbath. You allowed Jesus Christ to heal. What is this? They started to accuse him. So the scribes and Pharisees, they evaded this issue by saying nothing. So they kept quiet. So they want to put them, the scribes and Pharisees want to put Jesus Christ in the trap. Now Jesus Christ is putting them in the trap. In our life also, we have to act like, because God has given the spirit of discernment to us also. When the people want to try us in the trap, immediately the Holy Spirit will give the wisdom and knowledge to put that evil people in the trap, and make us to escape from the trap what they are putting. So this is a privilege given to each and every believer of Christ. Jesus healed the man and let him go, knowing that the Pharisee's house was not safest place for him. Instead of providing evidence against Jesus, the healed man provided evidence against the Pharisees. Now, can you see the evidence against Pharisees? What? Oh, this Jesus Christ came to one leader of the Pharisee house. There they invited one man with edema, with a dropsy. Jesus healed. So mainly they called both of them. That is the problem. Maybe they are going to fall in the trap. Unlike Pharisees, Jesus understood the real purpose of the Sabbath. What is the real purpose of the Sabbath? If Jesus then asked him, then if one of you have a child or an ox that falls into a well or a Sabbath, they will not immediately pull it out. And another rule in the Sabbath is that you should not pull anybody from the well. If any fall in the well, just leave it. That is, see how cruel it is. No, this is not written in the law of God. They themselves, by tradition, manipulated so many rules around the Sabbath rules. That's a problem. And after they had nothing to say, again Jesus is telling, if one of their own children or even one of of their animal happened to fell in the open well, they would never let them drown. Immediately, in that kind of emergency, they would find some way to justify doing whatever they had to do to pull him out. They would justify something. Oh, my animal is going to drown, it is going to die. They cannot climb by themselves. That's why I helped. The life is very important. That way you can give some excuse. But if you would do all that for one of their animals, then why should not Jesus have mercy on a man with fallen legs and limbs and heal his diseases? That's why Jesus said, this man is less than the animal. Even the animal is going to drown. You pull it out. No, this man is drowning with this water retaliation. Slowly, this man is drowning. So Jesus is immediately pull this man out of this retaliating water. That is what is happening. If any ox or a child fall into the open cistern or a well, you will pull them out. No, this man is also drowning in this water because water is retaliating all over his body. He is attacking in all the ways. So I took him out of this alignment. That's what Jesus is telling them. And now the Pharisees knew that Jesus was right, so they had nothing to say. Now they want to put him the trap. Now the Pharisees are on the trap. Once again, the Pharisees and scribes were trapped by the way they interpreted the law of God wrongly. They always wrongly. They interpret the law, so they are in the trap now. The legalism of Pharisees was preventing them from showing the mercy that God requires them. So they have to show the mercy, but instead of that, the legalism, the tradition, preventing them from showing the mercy. What was the real purpose of Sabbath then? What is the real purpose? Why always Sabbath seems to be a great toughest thing? Is that it was not a day for trying to catch people making a moral mistake or to gain spiritual merit by keeping laws. There were even stricter than the law of God, which was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. These traditional laws are stricter than the laws which was given to Moses on Mount Sinai, and they are trying to catch people for making the moral mistake, or they want to boast themselves for following all the layers. This is not the purpose of the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for man, for his benefits, not for his injury, because Sabbath is a rest day. For the 6 days you work, so on the 7th day you need rest for the body and mind. On the 6 days you do the worldly work. On the 7th day you have to spend some time with the God, and God can talk to you face to face. What are the mistakes you are doing? You can come out of it. You can spiritually grow, and you can mature, and you can have a good fellowship with the God. That is what the purpose of Sabbath. That's why Sabbath said, don't do any homework, don't do any housework. Don't cook. Don't go to work, just rely, go to synagogue, meditate word of God, read the Hebrew Bible, and meditate and stay in the presence of God. All these are the purpose of the Sabbath. But instead of that, they started to put more rules and rules over that, which became very burden for the people. The Sabbath was made for man, for his benefit, not for his injury. The interpretation of God's law concerning the Sabbath was so strained that it interfered with the charity, kindness, and real wants of human nature. Everything was affected because of the wrong interpretation of the Sabbath law by the Pharisees and the scribes. That is the main problem. That's why what happened, praise God for the healing mercy of Jesus Christ on the Sabbath day. Especially, I told you before this, Jesus Christ has healed 7 occasions. Jesus healed the people on the Sabbath day. Praise him for the complete cure. If Jesus Christ brings the diseases on the body and the troubles of soul on the Sabbath day, especially on the Sabbath day, Jesus Christ cured the people who have the physical alignment, mental alignment, or are possessed by the devil. All these things he do, especially on the day of Sabbath. In the healing ministry, Jesus did as much good on the Sabbath as than any other day of the week, which was fully in keeping with the purpose of the day. You can easily do the healing on other day because there are other 6 days are there, but purposefully Jesus do the healing on that Sabbath day. Why means to fulfill the purpose of the day. Today Christians celebrate a day for now what we are doing nowadays, we are not celebrating Sabbath on the Saturday, but as a Jewish people, but what we are doing, how we are having fellowship with the God is that today Christians celebrate a day of worship and rest on the first day of the week, which is a Sunday, the day Jesus was raised from the dead. But since the Christians are all over the world, and each and every nation has a certain different holidays, on that particular holiday, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, because there are so many holiday days are different in different locations of the people of the country. So on that particular day where the government has given given the holiday. On that day, they rest on that day in the presence of God. They meditate word of God. They go for a church. They will gather together in a place and worship the Lord, and everything they do on that day. So that is that as a Christian we are doing. Do we use Lord's Day the way that Jesus used it, as a day for doing mercy? Not only just going to church and coming, and that is not only enough. We have to show the mercy on that day. Particularly, Sunday has become a day for doing whatever we want, not a day for doing what God wants, or what other people need. That's what is very, very important. Sometimes we attend the meeting and then come home and do whatever we want. That is not the day of rest, or the day you have the fellowship with God. You have to do what God wants on that day and how to show mercy on that day. So that not only for Jewish people, for every Christian, we have to follow what Jesus is telling today also. So the 7 different occasions when Jesus healed on Sabbath day. So I told you before itself, Jesus healed especially on the Sabbath day for 7 different occasions. One is the cast out a demon when Jesus attended the synagogue. Next is the healed a fever, where the Peter's mother-in-law was having the fever on the Sabbath day in his house. We went and he made the lady well, allowed his disciple to pluck the grains because they are hungry. They pluck the grain because plucking the grain is equal to the harvesting. So it is not it should not be done on the day of Sabbath. Healed a lame man, and he was in the lame. And there are so many days are there, but especially on that day when Jesus Christ healed the lame man, and a man with a paralyzed hand, also Jesus Christ healed, because this also happened in the synagogue. A man with a paralyzed hand also was healed. Delivered a crippled woman who was afflicted by a demon. This also happened in the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and healed a man born blind. That is on the John 9. So all these things are happened only on the 7 things, because the Sabbath day is for the purpose of the man to be delivered from the physical alignment, spiritual alignment, mental alignment. All these are different alignments. The people are afflicted. So the Sabbath day is a day of rest. Sabbath day is a day of rest from their affliction. Sabbath day is a day of deliverance from their affliction. So Jesus Christ did all this ministry, all this healing, especially on the Sabbath day. So now this is what about the false piety. They are telling, oh, we should not do on the Sabbath day. This is false piety. This is wrong. They are interpreting the day of Sabbath in the wrong way, and they are following the wrong tradition. So I called to the Pharisee the wrong piety. And next, Jesus Christ is going to talk to another person, that is to the guest, and there he's going to tell them about the false popularity. Can you see here? This is the guest table. This is the guest table, and the guest table is always in the U-shaped table. And at the base of this U-shape, the host will sit. And then the other people who are invited wanted to sit near the host. Always they try to find that place. Anyhow, they find the place. So what God is going to tell to the people who want to find a very near place to the host. So they want actually false popularity. If they are sitting near the host, that means all the people, oh, these people are sitting near this great man. Oh, they are very, very popular people, maybe, no? So they get that popularity. So that we call to support the false popularity to the guest. It is there in Luke chapter 14, 7 to 11, where to sit and where not to sit. This is about where to sit and where not to sit. And before that was what to do on Sabbath, what not to do on Sabbath. So he healed the man who was having the dropsy on the day of Sabbath, and he trapped the Pharisees and scribes instead of they trapping Jesus Christ for wrongly interpreting the law of Sabbath. Now Jesus Christ is telling about where to sit and where not to sit. Luke chapter 14, 7 to 11. Jesus observed other guests were choosing prominent places at the meal. Can you see here? They are choosing the prominent places at the meal. Okay, meal, and he used this as an opportunity to teach a lesson about humility. A dinner party was hosted by a wealthiest man in the town. A wealthiest is also a rich man. The table was arranged in a U-shaped formation, with the host sitting at the center and the guests sitting in the cushions or low couches on either side. The all guests will sit on either side of the cushion, and the host always sit at the base of the U-shaped table. The best place to sit was as close to the host as one could get. So everybody tried to push and tried to get the place. So as Jesus watches the guest for dining, moved inch by inch closer to the best seat. And how now Jesus is watching, they're slowly moving towards the best place. Then Jesus noticed how the guests always choose the places of honor. So that means they want to choose the place of honor. honor. So he used this illustration when he spoke to them. He is now speaking to the guest about the false popularity. They want popularity of showing the people that they are sitting near the host. When someone invites you to the wedding, what Jesus is telling to them is, now is the guest, he is telling you, guest, you are moving inch by inch towards the prominent place. I want to talk to you. When someone invites you to a wedding, don't take the place of honor. Maybe someone more important than you are invited. So when you are invited, take the place of the least honor. Then when your host comes, he will tell you, friend, move to a more honorable place. Then all the other guests will see you, how you are honored. Those who honor themselves will be humble, but people who humbled themselves will be honored. That is the main point of this teaching. Luke chapter 14 verse 11 is the main point. What is the main point? Those who honor themselves will be humbled, but people who humbled themselves will be honored. The Pharisees were enslaved in their selfish ambition. What mattered most to them was their public reputation, not their private godliness. They want public reputation. Everybody has to talk about them very honorably. They have to see, astonished to see how they are sitting close to the host. The host is the wealthiest man. So they are very popular people. They want that outward popularity, not that private godliness. So now what Jesus is telling, what's the application point is that people who are full of their own self-importance always insist on having the best seat in a house, and they feel sad when they do not get it. In the house, some people are self-important. I am a very important person. Why they are not giving this place to me? Oh, they didn't give. I'm very sad. It happens in home among brothers and sisters. It actually happens. The brother and sister fight. But this place is for me. Why you are taking this place? I am well privileged. I am the elder one. I am the younger one. All these things in the home. It happened in the churches where people want their service to receive the full recognition. They think it deserves them. They think that I am very best person. I am deserved for it. But they are not giving the full recognition. So this happened in the church also. Never push yourself forward for a more prominent position in our life. Try to learn this lesson. We never ever put ourselves forward by ourselves for a prominent position, but let the Lord pull you into that position where he wants to serve. That's very, very important. Wherever we want to serve, God will certainly take you. God will certainly pull you to that position. Until that time, you please humbly wait upon the God. Don't push yourself forward to the most prominent place. So that is a lesson we are learning. This is there in houses. This is there in the workplace also. Certain times we want to get a high post immediately, and we want to try to push the other people, and we try to push down other people and talk wrong about the other person who is going to take that high position, and we try to catch that position. So we started to do all evil things to catch that position. All these things are very bad. So that's what Jesus is telling here. Those who honor themselves will be humbled, but people who humble themselves will be honored. Luke chapter 14, 11. So this is about the guest, about what? False popularity. First is about false piety to the Pharisee, and about the interpretation of the law of Sabbath. And they are thinking they are only following the Sabbath fully. Now they are telling, now Jesus is telling, you only fall into the trap. Your interpretation of the law of Sabbath is wrong. Instead of showing mercy, you are showing legalism. So it is wrong. You are having the false piety. Next one is to the guest. They're moving inch by inch towards the prominent place. Now Jesus is telling, you want a false popularity, not the private godliness. So in whatever way, don't push yourself to that particular position. God will certainly put you in that position. Until that time, you wait in your place. So that is what we learned about the wrong hospitality. To whom? To the guest. And now third person is to the host. The host is what? The leader of the Pharisee. To the host is telling about false hospitality. So can you see here? He's a lame man. Another one is a blind. Another person is an orphan, a small boy. And some people are dumb. They cannot hear. They cannot talk. And all these people, the host has to invite only this type of people. This red-colored man with the costly dress is the wealthiest host. That host has to invite this type of people only. That's what Jesus is going to tell about the false hospitality to the guest, to the host. Let me see that. To the host, false hospitality, Luke chapter 14, 12 to 41. This is about whom to invite and whom not to invite. The first is about where to sit, where not to sit. And then, first of all, we learn what to do on the Sabbath, what not to do on the Sabbath. that. The next thing is about where to sit, where not to sit. The third thing is about whom to invite, whom not to invite. Then he told the man who had invited him, when you invite people for lunch or dinner, don't invite only your friends, families, other relatives, or rich neighbor. So most of the time, we try to invite four type of people. Who are they? They are friends, families, relatives, or rich neighbors. Only those four people we concentrate. He's telling, don't, when you invite people for lunch or dinner, don't invite only that we can invite them, but not inviting only them. Otherwise, they will return the favor. Instead, when you give the banquet or the feast, invite the poor, first one, the handicapped, second one, the lame and the blind. Can you see here the four persons whom they always invite, and the other four persons who always never invite? They always invite friends, families, relatives, and rich neighbors. They never care about poor, handicapped, lame, and the blind. That's why the picture shows the poor, handicapped, lame, and blind. The host has to invite only those people for the banquet. Then you will be blessed. If you invite the poor, handicapped, lame, and the blind, then you will be blessed because they don't have anyone to pay you back. This lame man cannot pay back, and he cannot call this rich host of a Pharisee to his house. He himself has no food. He himself has no place to live. How come he called the person who's rich for his feast? It can't happen, no? So they cannot repay by calling again to the another feast. So if you do this, you will be paid back at the resurrection of the righteousness. They are not going to call you back to pay back what you provided now. Afterwards, you will never get the payback from this type of people, but you get the payback at the resurrection of the righteous. That means at the outward coming of Jesus Christ, all the people who died are going to be resurrected, and they are going to be awarded according to their good deeds they are going to do. That's what the Old Testament Bible says. That's what it is written here. Whom to invite, whom not to invite. Jesus knew that the host has invited his guest for two reasons. Now you all know omniscient, omnipotent God surely know why this man invited this much of guest. For the two reasons. One is to pay back because they had invited him to their past feast. He want to pay back them because they already invited him because he was a rich man. So they might have invited him to pay back, to put them under his debt, so that they would invite him to further feast. So he want to put them, if I call him, they will also call me. That's why let me call. So for these two reasons only, he invited such a people. Such hospitality was not an expression of love and grace, but rather an evidence of pride and selfishness. That's what, see how rich I see, come and eat, see my flowers, see my home, house, see my food, how rich I am. See how rich people are coming to my feast. I'm so popular person. See. So this is the evidence of praise and pride and selfishness. So Jesus does not prohibit us from inviting, entertaining family and friends, but he wants us against entertaining only family and friends. You can call surely family, friends, relatives, rich neighbors. You can, that is not wrong, but don't call only them. They will surely pay back you, but call also other set of people who are blind, lame, handicapped, and poor. All these people you can also call. That's what Jesus is telling. Jesus was distinguishing between charity and civility. There's a difference between the charity and civility. Charity is the selfish act of love, selfless act of love. You are not going to get back what you are going to do. That is called charity. What is civility? Which is our self-interest. Certainly we get back what we have done. That's called civility. What do you mean by civility? Treating others with dignity, respect, politely, consideration, speaking in the tone of voice that are appropriate for the circumstance, being respectful for others' right to express their view, even if you disagree. These are all civility. So all people want a good civilian should have a good civility. Okay, she should be dignity, courtesy, respect, politeness, talking humbly, according to the circumstance, speaking the tone of voice, very less voice, respect others' right, even if you don't disagree with that, but respecting their right. These are all civility. All human beings should have this for the good community, but don't mix with the civility and charity. Charity is what selfless act of love. So we should always be careful not to let our civility get in the way of true Christian charity. True Christian charity is what is true Christian charity? To show the love of Christ is the true Christian charity in our life. We need to go beyond doing good to people who do good to us, which may simply be another way of loving ourselves. If they did good to me, I'm going to do good. If they did bad, I'm going to bad. So you don't be like that. This is not the Christian love. Instead, we need to do good to people who do not seem to have anything to give us as in return. So you have to do good to the people. They can't do it return. They can't return it back. For that people, you have to do good. That is called the love of Christ. Our motive for sharing must be the praise of God and not the applause of man, the eternal reward in heaven, and not the temporary recognition on earth. If you do good to the people who good to you, they will also say they recognize you. They are a good man, so they are accepting the good thing from other people. You are recognized on the earth, but you do good to the people who do not, you're not able to return it back. Then you are get applause, not by men, but the praise from the heaven, praise of God during the resurrected time of during the time of the righteous people resurrection. So this is about the third thing is about to the host, about the false hospitality. And because he called this bunch of guests only for two purposes: only to pay back because they had invited him to their past feast, to put them under his debt so that they would invite him for the further feast. So for with this two purpose only, the leader of the Pharisee invited so many guests, not as a charity, not only as a civility, not as a charity, not to get back what he has paid, and not to just to pay, give without accepting any return back from the people. So this is the problem with the hospitality. And fourth thing is he's going to talk about the pious fellow guest. There are some fellow people also there. There's fellow guests are there. To them he is telling about false confidence. Luke chapter 14, 15 to 27. One of those eating with him heard this. What he said, what Jesus said to the host is that you will be paid back at the resurrection of the righteous. Nobody can pay back you, because the people whom you would call that poor, handicapped, lame, and blind, they cannot pay back you. But you are paid at the resurrection of the righteous. When the fellow host, the fellow guest hear that Jesus said, oh, the resurrection of the righteous, immediately the person who will be at the banquet in God's kingdom is blessed. Immediately he said, the person who will be at the banquet in God's kingdom is blessed. Oh, yes. A man who is allowed to sit in the God's kingdom is blessed. That's what he is telling. Jesus said to him, a man gave a large banquet and invite many people. When it was time for the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who are invited, come, everything is ready now. Everyone asked to be excused. The first said, everything is excused. Oh, we cannot come. The first said to him, I bought a field. I need to see it. Please excuse me. Another said, I bought 5 pairs of oxen and I am on way to see how well they plow. Please excuse me. And still another said, I recently got married and that's why I cannot come. The servant went back to report this to his master. Then the master of the house became very angry. He told the servant, run to every street and alley the city, bring back to the poor, the handicapped, the blind, and the lame. Can you see here the 4 set of people? The servant said, sir, whatever I have ordered has been done, but still there is some room for more people. Then the master told the servant, go to the road and paths, urge the people to come to my house. I want it to be full. I can guarantee that none of those invited earlier will taste any food at my banquet. Got very angry. I'm not going to allow any people are already invited and they are asked excuse. They are not allowed. Only the other people who are not invited, please bring them back. Bring them to my banquet. So what do you learn from this? When Jesus mentioned the resurrection of the just, one of the guests became very excited and said, the person who will be at the banquet in God's kingdom is blessed. What do you mean by that? The person who will be at the banquet of the God's kingdom is blessed, because the Jewish people pictured their future kingdom as a great feast with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the prophet as the honored guest. They think that during the after the outward coming of Messiah, all are going to be resurrected, and God will give them the resurrected body, and they are going to take part in the kingdom of God, and they are going to have the feast with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the prophet. That's why they are waiting. That is called the future kingdom. They are waiting. That's why he is telling like that. This guest was confident that he would one day be at the kingdom feast with them. So he's telling there is going to be a kingdom feast in future. Surely I'm going to be there with not only I'm eating here, no, surely I'll also be there. That's what he was telling. Jesus responded the guest with a parable. Now he's telling a parable that revealed that sad consequence of the false confidence. This man is having the false confidence. So he's telling his false consequences of the false confidence by means of a parable. What does the parable say? In Jesus' day, when you invite a guest, his parable is what? There is a banquet. He already invited the people. He sent the servant to 3 set of people, said excuse, and he asked the servant to go to the street, call the people, and still there is room. He asked the servant to go to the highway, call the people. Now he's telling his house should be full, and he's not allowing any people who are already invited and who already excused. So that was a parable. What you learn from the parable? In Jesus' day, when you invite guests to your dinner, you told them the day, but not the exact hour of meal. So that is their way of inviting. They'll tell what is a day, but what is our meal. Okay, they'll say, please come to the dinner. Okay, dinner means night only, but not, they never say the exact time. The host has to know how many guests were coming, so he could butcher the right number of animals and prepare the sufficient food. That's the problem. They don't want to waste the food. They will already invite the people, and they tell the date and about the dinner time. They never mention the dinner time. When they confirm about the people, how many people are coming, then only the host will get the animal, butcher it, and prepare the meal. So to prepare sufficient food just before the feast was to begin. Then what happened? After the full feast was prepared, just before the banquet or feast was begun, the host sent his servants to understand again the servants to each of the guests to tell them that the feast was ready, because he didn't tell the time, So it will taking some time to prepare the food, to count how many people are going to come, and then bought the animal, butcher it, prepare it. So it will take some time. When everything is ready, the host sent all his servants to each and every people who are invited, to tell them the feast was ready and they should come. See how much is the privilege they are giving. In other words, each of the guests in this parable had already agreed to attend. That means what? Once they will call for the invitation will be given. Second, what they will say, are you coming surely? Second one, they say, yes, we are coming surely. Then they count how many people will come. According to that, they buy the animal, they butcher the animal and prepare the food. Now that means what? These guests are agreed to attend the banquet. They told, yes, we are coming surely. Please count our head also. Accordingly, you prepare the food. We are surely coming. That is the meaning of it. The host expected them to be there, because they first time they invited, second time they called, third time now sending the servant. So the expectation is very high. Instead of really coming to the feast, all the guests insulted the host by refusing to attend, and they all gave feeble excuses to defend that change in plan, the total change in plan. See what they changed. The first man said, I bought a field, I need to see it, please excuse them. Because in those days, the purchasing of property is often a long and complicated process. Not only in those days, now also it is not easy to buy a land, because so many people will cheat. All these things are there, no? So it is a complicated process. Since most banquets were held in the evening, the man had little daytime left, even for the first investigation of the land he was going to buy. Now he's telling, see, already he knows, okay, there is going to the feast. Already they numbered him along the feast people. Everything is over. Now at the last minute after the feast is now, he's telling, I want to see the land. How come it immediately happened? No, buying the land is a complicated one. It is a long process. It is happening for a very long time. Not immediately it happened. So this is not, it is just an excuse. The second is what? Another man said, I bought 5 pairs of oxen. That means 10 oxen he had bought, and I am on the way to see how well they plow. Can you see here? Anybody can buy this much amount of oxen without checking how it is working, without any blemish, without any lame animal. After that only they will buy, because they are using this oxen to plow the land. Now this man is telling, I already bought it, now I want to check whether they are plowing well, whether they are good. So this is also excuse. Please excuse me. Again, this is an excuse, because who would purchase like this? He was already on his way to the farm when the servants came with the final call to the dinner. So this is also excuse. Still another said, I recently got married and that's why I cannot come. How come? You are already married. You know that you have to spend time with your wife. But why you said that you are coming purposefully? You gave the name that you surely you are going to come. The third guest really had no excuse at all. This man knew well in advance that he was taking a wife. That being the case, he should not have agreed to attend the feast in the first place. He might have told before itself, yes, you are invited. Now again you are asking how many people are coming in such a way you prepare the food. Please, I am not coming. You might have told like that. No, now you are, at last time you are telling it is not an excuse. The host did not want to waste all food prepared for a great dinner. So he sent his servant out to gather a crowd and bring them to the feast hall. Only the outcast, the thieves, the homeless would be found in the streets and the highways. Who will be found in the streets? Oh, outcasts, thieves, homeless. they will be found in the street and highways. But Jesus came to save only this kind of people. That's what Jesus wanted to say. Okay, I came only to heal, to save this kind of people who are thieves, who are outcasts, who are homeless, nothing. They were in the street. They were in the last minute. At that, for that people who I came to this world, there might even be some Gentile in the crowd also, because most of the time the Jewish people call only Jewish people. They never mingle with the Gentile. They never go to Gentile house and eat. They never call other Gentile people as a guest to the guest to the dinner. Never ever. Because that is prohibited in the law. That's why the never people also can enter the crowd. So the poor could not afford to buy oxen. The blind could not go to. But the reason is that the excuse what they give, is, oh, just now I bought the oxen, 5 pairs of oxen. I want to see whether they are plowing well. But the poor could not afford to buy an oxen. And another excuse is what? I have to go and see my real estate just now I bought. But the blind could not go to examine the real estate. The poor, the lame, the blind were usually not given in marriage. Nobody married the lame, and the poor people. So this excuse they cannot give. This crowd would be hungry, and this crowd, who is the crowd? The blind, the lame, the poor are always hungry and lonely, and only too happy to accept an invitation to a free feast. Just think about all food, rich food is ready. You are calling these people who are always hungry, who are always lonely, who are always cold, nothing to wear, no ways to sleep. So if you go and attend, call these people, how happy they will be. They will be very happy. Moreover, this feast is free. The host got the other people to take the places assigned to the invited guest, and also shut the door so that the excuse maker could not change their mind and come in. Completely shut the door. Don't come. God is expressing judicial anger, angry against those who reject his gracious invitation. That's what I'm giving, the gracious invitation, but they are rejecting it. It is a warning for not to treat God's calling lightly. This is a warning for, that's why it is written here. It is a warning for the God's calling. If you take the God's calling lightly, that is a warning for us. That's why to the pious fellow guest, he is telling about false confidence. What confidence he having? The fellow guest is having the confidence that surely one day I'm going to take part in the banquet, where I'm going to sit with the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, that is my calling, because I'm a Jewish man. All the people who was born as a Jew immediately enter the kingdom. That was their intention. That was their confidence. That was not the case now. Unless otherwise you accept Jesus as a savior, as a Messiah, you cannot enter that banquet. That is what Jesus is telling here. So that man has also having the false confidence, because no Jewish people there accept Jesus as a Messiah. So now what we have learned today is that towards the application, the message of this parable applied to all lost sinner today, not only for the Pharisee, not only the co-guest who is sitting with Jesus Christ and eating the meal, and it's for all the sinner today. God still says all the things are now ready, come. Now Jesus is calling each and every day, every minute, in every type of communication media, everywhere. Jesus is calling. All the things are now ready. Come. Jesus Christ finished the work of redemption when he died for us on the cross and arose from the dead. He completely, everything is finished. As a man of who has a great host, who hosted the banquet, make everything ready. Everything already called them and count the head, prepare the food, everything's ready. Like this, the work of redemption was completely over. About Jesus died on the cross and arose from the dead. Nothing is unfinished. It is completely finished by Jesus Christ. The feast has been spread. The invitation is free, and you are invited to come. That is what the feast is kept on the table. Everything is ready, and you are invited, and the invitation is free. That's what Jesus is telling here. People today make the same mistake that the people in the parable made. They delay in the responding to the invitation. Not only the man who said, I have an excuse, I'm going to buy a piece of real estate. Oh, sorry, I already bought 5 pair of oxen, and I have to check whether they are plowing well. Oh, I got married. I have to spend time with my newly married wife. So sorry. All these things, they delay the responding to the invitation. There is nothing wrong with them owning a farm, exercise, examining purchases, or spending evening time with the wife. There's nothing wrong. I'm not telling that you should not buy a farm, you should not purchase oxen, you should not spend time with your spouse. I'm not telling like that, Jesus. But if these good things keep you from enjoying the best thing, then they become the bad thing. So if you want to do that, and you're not accepting the invitation of the good thing, of the best thing, then the good thing became a bad thing. Christian life is a feast, and all are invited to come. Each of us, our believers, must proclaim. Not only invited to come, the servants, the host sent his servant to each and every people who are invited. Please come, the food is ready, please come, please come. The servants went all the places, in all the each and every house, knocked the door, already called, invited people are informed, everything is ready, come please eat. So we are that servants. Each of us believers must proclaim the message. Come, for all things are now ready. Come, for all things are now ready. That is our duty. God wants us to see his house completely full. When they refused to come, the host was very angry. He told the servant, you go to the street, go to the highways, completely fill my house, and never allow the people who already excused, lock the door. So God wants to see his house filled, and yet there is a room. Still every day God is filling his banquet hall, but still there is a room. We don't know when it is completely going to be filled. He wants us to go all the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. What does the gospel says? Mark 16:15 says, he said to them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creations. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. That's what Jesus said. Excused person are not allowed. They shut the door, and only those whom believe and is baptized will be saved, and whoever does not believe will be condemned. Isaiah 55:6 says, seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near. So this is what we finished today. Today we saw about the narrow gate of humiliation, to the Pharisee about false piety, to the guest about the false popularity, to the host about the false hospitality, to the pious fellow guest about the false confidence. Let us not have the false confidence. Let us not do the false hospitality. Let us not go to the false popularity. Let us not act as a false piety person. God bless you.